I'm Terry Merriman.
And I'm Bob Donnelly.
A fine question. Who killed her baby? An 8-month-old baby boy lost his fight for life this evening after being shot in the head.
The baby's mother is being questioned right now by investigators as they still try to determine just how this shooting happened. Our Tony Guignard is live in Laguna Niguel with the very latest on this story. Tony, what's going on?
Yes, we're getting some up-to-date information from officials out here. The family was questioned, and they're now at the hospital where they found out that the baby boy died this evening at 7:45. That makes this a death investigation, and investigators are trying to determine if the shooting was accidental or intentional. The home of Kenneth and Olga Welsh remains at the center of attention of investigators with the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Right now they're waiting on a search warrant. We don't know exactly all the circumstances and facts of what occurred. It's important that we do the best we can one step at a time in these kinds of investigations.
An investigation into a shooting. Early in the afternoon, an 8-month-old boy was shot in the head.
Sheriff's Department got a call a little before 1 o'clock, 911 call about a woman screaming that someone had been shot at this residence. And when the deputies responded to the residence here on Aloma, they found a woman holding a small child that had been shot.
The woman, identified as the 20-year-old mother of the critically injured baby, was escorted from the home by investigators, taken for questioning.
When the deputies arrived, the mother had the child in her arms, and the child was conscious, crying and moving.
Hours later, the baby died at the hospital. Family members identified by authorities as the baby.
A woman holding an 8-month-old baby that
were understandably immediately shaken as detectives converged on their home armed with questions, trying to determine who shot the baby boy and why.
We don't have any suspects in this case at all. The family has been cooperative with us. All of the family members have cooperated and answered questions for us and tried to help us figure out just exactly what it is that's occurred earlier this afternoon.
Now, investigators don't know exactly how many people were in the house at the time of the shooting.
We don't think that it's related in any way in particular. The truck, I think, does belong to the property owner here, who's a member of the family. There's the only weapon that we recovered inside the residence so far was a handgun.
They say it's just a matter of getting the mother of the child to explain exactly what happened. But by nightfall, that still was not clear. If anything, things at the house seem to be getting more complicated for investigators.
Right now they're waiting on a search warrant. We don't know exactly all the circumstances and facts of what occurred. It's important that we do the best we can one step at a time in these kinds of investigations. So therefore we've gone ahead and gotten a search warrant. We're in the process of getting one and we're waiting for a judge's signature now.
And that is going to take a while. Now, they do say the family is being very cooperative. They are not calling anyone a suspect at this point. They are talking to the mother. She's obviously very distraught. Neighbors describe her as a 20-year-old college student, a very nice woman, as a matter of fact. Live in Laguna Niguel, I'm Christina Gonzalez. Live. Back to you, Jeff.
Christina. Police at a home in Orange County tonight, Laguna Niguel, where they put yellow tape around the house. They're not saying too much. They're not letting people get very close to the house. It is the house where something horrible happened earlier today. Somehow an 8-month-old baby got shot in the head. And tonight came the news the baby had lost its fight for life. Good evening, everybody. It's 11 o'clock, and I'm Paul Moyer.
And I'm Colleen Williams.
We begin tonight with the investigation into the shooting of death of an 8-month-old baby. Police are working the case out there tonight. And neighbors, of course, are very, very sad, and they are stunned. They told us the family was about as nice as they come. Still, many unanswered questions tonight about what really went on inside that house earlier today. Beverly White live at the scene tonight, and she's got the latest. Beverly?
That's right, Paul. Orange County Sheriff's investigators are not calling this Aloma Avenue home a crime scene tonight, but it is the object of intense scrutiny. About 8 p.m., that unidentified infant died in a local hospital following several surgeries. Hours after an 8-month-old baby boy was mortally wounded inside this Laguna Niguel home, Orange County Sheriff's investigators continued to scour the scene for clues. The boy died around 8 p.m. here at Children's Hospital in Mission Viejo for treatment of a gunshot wound to the head. Investigators aren't certain how the baby was shot, only that his 20-year-old mother placed the emergency call.
A little before 1 o'clock, someone called 911, and a hysterical woman said that a child had been shot at an address here on Aloma. When the deputies responded to the address here behind us, they did in fact find a 8-month-old child that had an apparent gunshot wound to the head, and the mother was really quite hysterical.
Investigators questioned the baby's 20-year-old mother and everyone else in the household, including the baby's grandparents, Kenneth and Olga Welch. No one has been detained, and a weapon found in the home was not immediately removed. We asked the lieutenant exactly what happened.
We really don't know. The circumstances in most gunshot situations are always difficult at best, and so that's why our investigators are trying to be methodical and take a slow approach to it so we can try and collect all the correct information.
Neighbors say they're stunned to learn about the shooting. They describe the household as close-knit and friendly.
They're the nicest family you'd ever want to meet.
There have been no arrests in this case. Investigators describe it as tough, cloudy, and very confusing. And it's not clear who was home at the time of the shooting, but investigators expect to be here for several more hours tonight. Live in Laguna Niguel, I'm Beverly White. Back to you in the studio.
Investigation, but they want to take this case by the book.
We don't know whether, in fact, a crime has occurred or it's just a terrible accident. And once we go in without the search warrant, you can't go back and get one. So trying to do it one step at a time.
Sheriffs say the 911 call came in around 2 p.m. this afternoon from a woman they describe as hysterical, screaming that a child had been shot. When they arrived, they found the mom holding the 8-month-old baby shot in the head.
Anybody that would keep a loaded gun around a baby makes me really worry.
Residents tonight say the people who lived in this house pretty much kept to themselves. They appeared to be good neighbors, but they never expected anything like this.
It comes as a big shock. I can't believe something like this happened here in Laguna Niguel. I mean, this is like a really nice area.
Late this afternoon, the mother was escorted by deputies for questioning. Detectives interviewed her and others who were in the house at the time of the shooting, but it's been difficult to get information, and they're still not sure exactly what happened.
Well, they're pretty distraught, to tell you the truth. I mean, you can imagine what it would be like to have your child go through this, or your family members around you.
Well, the mother was interviewed and released. Meanwhile, detectives are now inside the house. They went in just a short while ago with that order, that search warrant, and they say they're going to look at the evidence inside and then hopefully try to figure out what happened here. Reporting live from Laguna Niguel, I'm Carlos Grande, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Carlos, thank you for the live report tonight.
Told OCN she remembers hearing shots a few weeks ago, but the sheriff's department could not confirm the reports over the weekend. Another neighbor says Shantae is sick over what happened and describes her as a perfect mother.
She just recently quit her job to spend more time with her child. It was just a tragic accident what happened.
That is something investigators have yet to determine. While they work the case, friends drop off flowers for an innocent life cut much too short.
Now, the coroner's office has completed its autopsy this afternoon, but the results are not being released. Lisa.
Thanks, Nancy. From today on, you have to...
Family is trying to cope as best it can.
Eric Lampel speaks for the Molina family. He says the shooting was nothing but a terrible accident.
Well, they're devastated.
As a family friend and attorney, he says the Molina family called him to answer questions for the media so they could grieve in peace. He says Shantae Molina was doing laundry. 8-month-old Armani sat nearby in an infant seat. The rest of the family was on vacation.
Shantae heard some footsteps and some crunching of the gravel in the around the house, and that alarmed her. She was alone with the baby.
Lampel says Molina grew scared, grabbed a gun, and it went off.
She was shaking terribly because of fear of what was happening, and the gun went off again. She doesn't remember how, other than she was shaking, and that discharge hit baby Armani.
And the family attorney says Molina had good reason to be afraid. In the past month, he says at least 2 neighbors reported hearing shots fired early one evening, and another home was burglarized in broad daylight.
One neighbor who didn't want to talk on camera told OCN she remembers hearing shots a few weeks ago, but the sheriff's department could not confirm the reports over the weekend. Another neighbor says Shantae is sick over what happened and describes her as a perfect mother.
She just recently quit her job to spend more time with her child.
Notable mother pleads not guilty in the shooting death of her infant son. OCN's Jennifer Bauman was in court today as Shantae Molina was arraigned on 1 count of murder.
More than 40 family members filed into court Monday morning. They came to show support for Shantae Molina. The 20-year-old mother is accused of killing her infant son with a handgun. Prosecutors call it murder. Molina's family believes the death of 8-month-old Armani Contreras was an accident.
it's not right, you know, it's an accident, that's all. They're trying to make it worse, you know, but she wouldn't harm that baby for nothing.
She was content with him. He was the joy of her life. And there's no way that it could have been anything other than an accident. No way.
It was mid-October when Melina claims she grabbed a handgun because she heard a prowler outside her Laguna Niguel home. Melina tells her attorney the gun fired several times by accident. One shot struck baby Armani in the head. The infant died a short time later. The distraught mother shed tears as she entered a plea of not guilty in the infant's alleged murder.
It was an accidental shooting, and it's horrible, and we wish it didn't happen, but the fact of the matter is it happened. It's not a murder case.
Molina's attorney adds that sheriff's investigators allegedly mistreated his client.
It's not a murder case, and when it was unnecessary to handcuff this young girl in a restaurant in front of her family and patrons at the restaurant and pull her in and isolate her at the jail, deny her access to her attorney.
Judge Gregory Lewis promised to facilitate jail visits, and he set Shante Molina's bail at $250,000. From Santa Ana, Jennifer Ballman, OCN.
And sheriff's officials say a 3-week investigation led them to file the murder charge against Molina last week. If convicted, the young mother could face 25 years to life in prison. Also